Welcome to episode number 7 of the Black and White Bistro, where black and white photographers meet. Our goal is simple: to provide a quality space where artists who enjoy black and white photography can come to get to know each other and maybe even learn a little something from our guest artists. I'm the host of the Black and White Bistro show, DavidLPayne, known here on Vero as @KaijuCreative_black and white. I'm an enthusiast, dedicated black and white photographer, and my preferred creative tool of choice is the full-frame Leica Q2 Monochrome, which only shoots in 11 colors: black, white, and the 9 shades of gray in between. Today, we are proud to introduce you to a very special photographer who makes his home in Cape Town, South Africa. Now, coming to you from his home, here he is, Magnificus Magus himself, our magnificent monochrome magician, Robert Schmidt.
Hi there. You probably don't recognize me without my hat on or with my parrot on my shoulder, but my name is Robert and I live in the beautiful city of Cape Town, South Africa. I would really like to thank David and Black and White Bistro for this opportunity. I'm truly grateful and honored to be included in such a lineup of so many amazing photographers. My photography journey started fairly recently when I took early retirement from the Walmart Group towards the end of 2021. That's when I purchased my first little camera, a Nikon Z5 mirrorless full-frame camera with a kit lens. I attended a 2-week introductory course on the basics of photography, and I've attended as many workshops as possible. I relied on our good friend YouTube and whatever they had to offer along the way. My photography certainly took a new turn when I joined Vero. I was so inspired by all the amazing photographers and their work. It has certainly been very inspirational and helpful in my photography journey. The journey has been amazing. I think my artistic background has also had a very strong influence on my photography. My love for black and white photography started on the street, and in particular with my street portrait project, which was born out of the community work I do with the homeless and the compassion I have for them. I engage with each and every one of my subjects, and each picture is accompanied by an editorial of their lives and their current situation. A huge influence and inspiration for the street portraits comes from a UK-based street portrait photographer, a guy by the name of Lee Jeffries. I think he's absolutely incredible. You need to check out his portfolio. It's absolutely amazing. I hope to go to print this year with my first edition of the Street Portrait Project. I also enjoy shooting seascapes in black and white, and I'm now currently shooting with a Nikon Z7 II, which I use predominantly for landscapes and the seascapes. I still use my Z5 and my Nifty 50 for street photography. I also enjoy landscapes, seascapes, and a new addition to my photography is astrophotography and macro photography, which I do at home when I can't go out during bad weather or when the conditions aren't good. I certainly hope you enjoy the 3 images we share with you today. And once again, I extend my sincere gratitude to David and this exciting black and white bistro. Thanks very much, guys.
Many thanks, my friend. Over the next few minutes, we will discover 3 of Robert's personal favorite images and the story behind each, and hear his answers to 4 black and white photography questions we've prepared for him. Let's enjoy Robert's first artist-selected image and learn the story behind it as he shares that story in his own voice.
Hi, this image comes from my street portrait project photography. I really enjoy the rush of street photography. and I enjoy the engagement with my subjects. This is a very special image for me. I met Bem over a year ago. He was in a very, very, very bad place. He was very high on drugs, incoherent, and suffering from extreme malnutrition. We managed to get him off the streets and into a shelter, which only lasted a very short time as the lure of drugs is extremely intense. We persevered, and although he still goes through some very bad times, he is alive and in a much better place. Although it is extremely difficult to compose these portraits on the streets, they are not posed. I shoot from different angles while engaging with them. I always try to use the existing light to my advantage and ensure I capture the eyes, as they are the windows to the soul. I'm particularly happy that I have managed to get the perfect transition from light to dark and then intense eye contact in this image.
We asked Robert, since you shoot both black and white and color photography, what kind of scenes and subjects do you think look better in black and white, and why? Here's what he said. The question of whether to process photos in black and white or color is an interesting topic of discussion. I believe it's more helpful to know in advance if you intend to work in black and white, so you can focus on the elements that make interesting black and white images, such as light, texture, geometric shapes, and contrasts. I definitely always shoot my street photography and street portraits in black and white for those very reasons, and that the subject remains the focus with no distractions caused by color. I believe black and white photography adds mood and emotion to this type of photography. I have a slightly different approach, he said, when it comes to seascapes, landscapes, and astrophotography. And I often re-edit color into black and white. It is so dependent on the conditions. These are generally shot in the golden and the blue hours when you have amazing color, reflections, and the ability to shoot long exposures. However, stormy conditions with lots of drama in the sky and clouds are perfect for black and white seascape and landscape photography, and I often go out in these very conditions for black and white shots. We asked Robert, what is it about black and white photography that attracts you, and how do you know when you've created a truly special black and white photograph? He said, I find black and white photography evokes a feeling of emotion and has an amazing impact for its simplicity. It forces the viewer to focus a certain way and change their perspective on certain elements. Darkness versus light becomes the central way to achieve texture and form. When I'm on the street or composing a street portrait, I look for scenes with contrasting textures, distinct shapes, and dramatic lighting, which sounds a lot easier than it really is. When I can transition my picture from light to dark successfully, I'm satisfied that I've created something truly special. Now let's enjoy Robert's second artist-selected image and learn the story behind it.
Hi, this is one of my seascape images that I've taken. And opposite to the rush of street photography, I love the calming effect the beach and the sea has on me. I love the flow and power of the waves rushing over the rocks and onto the sand. This is one of my favorite places to go in Cape Town for seascapes. It's called Blouberg Beach and has the beautiful backdrop of Table Mountain, which adds to the beauty of the composition. I really like this picture with the amazing composition, the drama in the sky, the strong foreground, the great contrast with the white water rushing over the dark rocks, and the perfect water motion, giving the impression of movement. With seascape photography, there are certain elements that you need to know in order to get the perfect shot. These include knowing the tides, composing and balance, the composure and the balance, and getting the timing right. We also need to use the correct exposure times, particularly for the water motion. And lastly, you cannot be afraid of getting wet or getting drenched.
Our third question was, what's the biggest obstacle for you when you first started out shooting black and white, and how did you overcome that obstacle? Robert's answer was great. Without a doubt, he said, it is pre-visualization. Seeing what a scene would look like in black and white. It was extremely difficult for me in the beginning to understand how all those colors would translate into shades of gray. This is especially difficult for me. Because I also photograph a lot in color, when shooting in black and white, I make sure to change the live view function on my camera to black and white, or on some cameras it says monochrome. That helps me ensure the picture is perfectly composed so that I can use the existing light to my best advantage, making full use of available light, shadows, and contrast as I'm viewing and composing my image. I then do the basic adjustments in Lightroom Classic and end up with some dodging and burning in Photoshop. Our final question to Robert was, what tips can you offer someone who's considering trying to shoot black and white? His answers were excellent, so make sure to write these down. First, definitely set your camera live view to monochrome or black and white so you can actually see the scene you're composing in your EVF and your LCD screen. Second, shoot in RAW format to ensure you are perfectly composed and balanced and have the maximum flexibility in post-processing. Third, look for compositions which have high contrast and make use of all the existing light sources around you. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, don't get caught up in the rules. Don't be scared to experiment and have fun. Now, let's enjoy Robert's final artist-selected image and learn the story behind it.
The last image I want to share with you is my black and white astrophotography. This is a relatively new genre of photography for me, and very much like seascapes, the calming effect and the beauty of standing under the stars in the middle of the night in a very remote area with no light pollution is an incredible experience. This particular photo was taken on a recent trip to the semi-desert region of South Africa called the Karoo. It is extremely remote with no light pollution and only accessible with a 4x4 vehicle. This is called star trail photography, and generally there are two ways to do star trails. One is to open your shutter for a very long period, but the danger of that is that if somebody shines a light, your whole picture is ruined. The second way you could do it is to take multiple short exposures and stack them together in post. For this picture, I chose the first option as the likelihood of light pollution was minimal. After finding south, this ensures that the star trail is in a perfect circle. I then manually focused on a bright star, which can be quite tricky in the dark. I then set my exposure time for 45 minutes and waited. Because of the automatic noise reduction in the camera was on, I had to wait a further 45 minutes for this to process. So in actual fact, this pic took 90 minutes to expose. Well worth waiting and standing in the dark in those freezing cold conditions. You actually do not often see this type of photography in black and white, but I love the contrast in the old car and the highlights created by the revolving stars, and with the right amount of light captured with the 45-minute exposure. This gave some detail and light to the foreground. Thanks very much.
That brings us to the end of today's Black and White Bistro show. We hope you enjoyed meeting Robert Schmidt and his amazing black and white creations. To see more of his images, visit his gallery here on Vero, share some likes, and consider following his photography journey. We'd like to thank Robert for joining us on today's show. Would you like to have a chance to be featured on the Black and White Bistro? First, follow me at Kaiju Creative _black and white. Second, start using our hashtag Black and White Bistro on your best black and white image posts. Finally, send me a DM on Vero, or you can send me an email indicating your interest in being our guest, and tell me a little bit about yourself and your photography journey. You'll find my email, all my social contact information, and my website in the Linktree QR code that's on your screen right now. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to mark your calendars so you don't miss episode 8, coming exclusively here on Vero on June 15. And don't forget, if you're not shooting black and white, you're only seeing half the picture. Now have a great weekend. Get out there and shoot some black and white photography.